Welcome back to Fast Market on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host Kevin Hanks. But let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment, and that's going to be Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Hey, thank you.
All right, so we're talking another retailer. This one's Five Below. Shares are down about 36% so far this year. But Andy, my question to you is, as far as your data from LikeFolio goes, you know, inflationary pressures hitting the low end of, maybe the mix of people from, that what they make, right? Inflation's hitting them more. Gas prices are elevated. Rents are higher. Home costs are higher. Are you guys seeing any deterioration as far as your data goes for Five Below heading into this earnings event? Because they seem like the most susceptible area, maybe the Five Below shopper.
Yeah, I think that's coming into this, that's what I would have thought as well. We are seeing a significant divergence between Five Below and peers like Dollar Tree or Dollar General. I think Five Below may cater to a little bit higher income level than people realize. You know, that they recently, not so recently, but they did get rid of the idea that everything had to be $5 and below. They've got stuff up to $10 inside of their stores. And it is a little bit more, they're in a little bit, more upscale areas. I think they have a different client mix than we think of when we think of these kind of super discount retailers. And so far we're seeing it pay off, unlike Dollar Tree or Dollar General, we're really seeing a nice increase in consumer purchase intent mentions around Five Below. If we look at that over time on a quarterly chart, in fact, we see that this current quarter is actually outpacing what we even could have expected, suggesting to me that the company will be able to come out and issue strong positive guidance, for this quarter. We think things are going really, really well at the moment in Five Below stores. And part of that is they may just actually have found themselves in that kind of perfect little window between, I'd like to save some money, so I want to go to, a discount store, but also in a little bit more affluent areas where they can pass through some of the pricing, the inflation concerns, and so on. So I think Five Below is actually in a pretty good spot. And one of the reasons for that is, the consumer at Five Below is just simply happier with the experience than they are at Dollar General or Dollar Tree stores. So it's a really huge spread between those. Dollar Tree, Dollar General, we see those consumer happiness levels very much the same, very consistently, whereas Five Below has simply a much happier customer base to pull from. We think that's working out really well for them in this environment. And so, this is one of those stocks that I'm really starting to like long term, and starting to get indications that the short term might be a good bullish bet as well.
Andy, I have a discount mall near my home, not too far, where there's a Nordstrom Rack, there's a TJ Maxx, there's a Nike discount, there's a one of the discount shoes, and one of the stores opened up, and I drive by it frequently. And I remember thinking, I wonder who will fill that spot. Sure enough, it's Five Below filling that spot. And this is a popular mall near my house. And so, the question is, with your data and what's going on, and what I read about the growth of this company and how much money they make per store that they open, the numbers are pretty big. And that combined with your data, is this kind of a table pounding a presentation here? Because the numbers that you're giving us in terms of your data are powerful.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where you come on and in the back of your mind you're supposed to be a little bit bearish because the consumer is getting stretched and because of inflation and all these headline types of things. But when you just look at the LikeFolio data on Five Below and some personal experience with the store, I think it's really well laid out. It just shows a powerhouse. I mean, this is a company that's making 82% of its consumers happier while serving more and more of them. That is a unique thing. And generally speaking, when we see that combination, high consumer happiness and strong consumer demand growth, that's a winning combination. And so, yes, I do think we're starting to get quite bullish on Five Below, especially at these prices after a pullback.
Yeah, Andy, they focus on the teens and tweens and a lot of that demographic. As far as data goes, not only for Five Below, but across like the retail space, have you found they're pretty resilient as far as going out there and spending? Because typically when I looked at Five Below, I thought of Gap Store's earnings where, their lower end price point, but Five Below, it seems like, has a better mix of product. It's just not apparel, right? Like Old Navy is just apparel. Their sales slipped pretty hard, and that's that same demographic of shoppers in there. So are you seeing anything as far as that demographic goes that says that they're being pretty resilient during this inflationary period?
Yeah, I do think that there's resiliency there. I think that also, anytime that you're offering cheaper products, that helps a lot. And especially Five Below, most of what they have in the store is extraordinarily high margin per unit. They're getting these things. You're not exactly sure what you're going to find when you walk in there. It's a bit of a discovery experience as well. But they do have significant pricing advantages per unit, unlike some of the retailers, some of the clothing retailers. Five Below can move through inventory really quickly and blow out what they need to blow out and not be disappointing the next consumer that walks in the door. So I think that's a huge advantage for them. And I do think, yeah, you're right. There is some resilience in that, younger demographic. They've still got the credit card working. They haven't completely depleted their savings account yet. And mom and dad are likely there to reload for them because their ask is simply not as high as the rest of us that live a little bit more in the real world.
Yeah, and it seems like back to school was probably right up their alley. And I know you guys previously had some strong metrics as far as back to school shopping went, in the late summer throughout this past month. But if you have an earnings score on Five Below, it seems like your data is pretty positive. What's that?
Yeah, we're positive on it. We're plus 52 on our earnings sheet, which is nicely bullish, I think. And that combined with that strong, really recent data tells me that the executives can go onto the call with some confidence in their forward-looking statements.
All right, great stuff as always, Andy. Appreciate the update here on Five Below. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, bringing the data, Kev, for Five Below.